Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. This foundation review was requested, and if I can remember and find who requested it, I'll put it down below. They recommended that I pick up the shade Pale, which is the shade that I've picked up, and for once in my life it is the right undertone but too pale. This never really happens, so it's a nice sign that the brand has sort of got a nice wide range, I guess, because I know I am not the most pale person in the world, so it's nice to see that there are some options for people who are lighter than me. I think that I probably should have gotten maybe number 2, which I think is called Alabaster. So FO2 Alabaster. It says that it's alabaster with a warm undertone, whereas Pale, when I look at it on the website, it says white ivory with yellow undertone. So that's why the undertone looks so good. So it's very yellow, but it's like a lighter shade than NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, which is my perfect shade. Unfortunately in New Zealand they only seem to stock like every second shade, so Alabaster was not an option for me, which is a shame, but that's okay. So for this product, the product description says, shockingly lightweight, waterproof and pigmented AF, Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation is our full coverage classic foundation that hustles as hard as you do. This comfy, long-wearing waterproof liquid comes in a wide range of flattering tones that don't transfer. Every creamy liquid shade glides on smooth, delivers matte coverage that stays true up to 24 hours. This overachiever also works to control shine and mattify your complexion all day long. But it doesn't stop there. This classic foundation is non-comedogenic and suitable for normal, oily, combination and sensitive skin types. The packaging of this product is a little bit cheap. It does have a glass bottle, but the top is a very cheap and sort of clunky plastic. But then again, the product itself was fairly cheap too, so I really can't complain. In New Zealand, NYX is like a mid-range sort of product, so this one I think I spent $22.30 on it, something like that, $22, less than $23, which is not horrendously expensive, but also it's not that cheap for me. If I was to compare it to like K-Beauty, it's more expensive than this Rose Bomb palette from Etude House, so yeah. Like I said before, I picked up the shade Pale, which is too light for me, but it is the right undertone. So it's very yellow and it's very, very light. So I'm going to swatch it in comparison to all of the other shades in my collection, so I hope that helps you guys. Okay, so here are the 19 foundation and cushion swatches I have for you today. I apologize, some of these ones are a little bit small because I didn't leave enough room. So of course we have NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, which is my favorite color and best fit. Then we have the Etude House Double Lasting Serum Foundation in the shade YO3 Ivory. And then a new one, which is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Foundation in the shade Pale. Then we have the Espoir Pro Tailor Foundation Be Glow in the shade Vanilla. A Holika Hardcover Glow Foundation in the shade Ivory. The Anasui Liquid Foundation in the shade 100 Alabaster. This one is the EX1 Invisiwear Foundation in the lighter shade, which is I think number 1. This is another new one, that is the 3W Clinic BB Cream Wrinkle Intensive. I think this one is in the lighter shade, if there are any shades. This is the Bobbi Brown Intensive Skin Serum Foundation in the shade 00 Alabaster. The Up-You Triple Wear Foundation in the shade 1 Frozen. The Misha Radiance Foundation in the lighter shade, which I believe is called Ivory. This is the Up-You BB Maker in the shade 211 Light Beige. The Clio Kill Cover Foundation, this is the Earwear Powder in shade number 2. This is the Peri Pera Ink Drop BB in the shade number 1, which I think is Ivory. The sad one is the Farmstay Full Moist Foundation in the lighter shade, which is number 13. Then we move on to the cushions, which are a little bit hard to see because I can't put quite as much product on. This is the Up-You foundation. This one has the foxes on the front. I can't remember what they're called. And then that one has the corgis on the front. So there are the 2 shades there from Up-You. Then we have the Lily by Red Esteban Loves You cushion foundation in the lighter shade. And then the Re-Ray Starlucent cushion foundation also in the lighter shade. So I'm going to put one pump on the back of my hand. One and a bit, and I'm going to be applying the foundation using just a general cushion puff. Now of course, like I said before, this foundation is too light. It doesn't actually look too bad, like that doesn't look that bad, but when my whole face is covered it does look just that little bit ghostly. Don't find that this has the best coverage for me. Also because it is lighter than my skin, it is kind of hard to get good coverage in that sense as well. I don't know why, I just always find that if the foundation is like a little bit too dark, then I get way better coverage. I do find that this foundation is buildable, so I can put a little bit extra on the places where I feel like I need a bit more coverage. But I did find that if I built the coverage up too much, I got a really gross sort of like flaky finish, like the foundation was pilling and rolling up. This could be due to the sunscreen that I'm wearing underneath as well, but I'm using the Claire's Soft Gentle UV and I haven't had any issues with it with any other foundation, so I'm honestly more likely to change my foundation than I am my sunscreen at this point. So this is what it looks like with half of my face done, and then this is what it looks like without any. So I would say the coverage is light to medium, but it is buildable. I do see quite a few of my scars peeking through, so the scars on my upper lip, but also I can see quite a bit of the redness and scarring on my cheeks as well, even though I have done 2 layers on part of it. And then I can see like little patches where it's like really pilled and not the nicest looking. So I'm going to do the other half of my face and come back. So that is what a full face looks. So once the full face is on, you can definitely tell that there is a difference in colour, even if I'm sort of like looking sideways and there's less shadowing. It's definitely too light, which honestly doesn't happen very often and is a nice problem to have. It is still the right tone because it is very warm toned, but yes, no, it is too light, so I will be putting a bunch of bronzer on for the day. So me and my ghost face is going to do the rest of my makeup, and I will check in with you guys a little bit later on today. So this is what the foundation is looking like after about 6 hours. I almost said 3, but it's almost 3 o'clock, not 3 hours. I obviously put on like a bunch of bronzer so that the colour doesn't look so bad. The bronzer didn't really work out very well for me. I tried a new one and it was not good. But the foundation itself is actually still feeling okay, but I do have some weird marks already. So my forehead is nice, it looks great, no worries there. Around my nose I can see my regular glasses marks, but I've only been wearing my glasses for 10 minutes while I was driving, so normally they wouldn't dent that quickly. And you can also see some stripes down the top of my nose, which I have no idea why they're there. I just don't understand it. Around my nose also looks super dry and flaky and gross. And then there are bits on my cheeks so you can still see the pilling. So all in all it looks okay from a distance, and honestly with the bronzer on I feel like the colour is not that bad, but up close it doesn't look so good. After about 10 hours, my skin is looking okay. I feel like my forehead and my nose are quite shiny, and I feel like there is a lot of wear around my nose. So the stripes that you saw before, they're kind of gone, and like there is no foundation on the tip of my nose anymore. It also looks really, really oily, but the rest of my skin looks very much the same. I can still see the redness and scars like before, but it hasn't gotten very much worse. Overall, unfortunately, I'm not a fan of this foundation. I feel like the colour, while it doesn't suit me, would be really great to mix in with some of my foundations that are a good undertone but too dark. So I will be probably keeping it for that aspect, but unfortunately to wear by itself, the shade isn't right. It does look too light for me. However, I'm more not a fan of the formula, so I found this a little bit tricky to apply. It does dry down really quickly, so you have to walk in small areas. You can't just dot it all over your face and take your time blending it out because it dries, and once it dries you can't keep blending on top of it and you can't build it up because once it's dried down it's really difficult to work with afterwards. For a product description that says pigmented AF, I highly disagree with that. I found that like I could see all my redness, I could see all my light scarring, I could see all of my darker scarring. Like this was medium to light coverage at best. So I don't know why mine is so unpigmented. I've got no idea, and yes, I definitely shook the bottle before I used it. Maybe because it was too light for me, it wasn't doing anything for the coverage, but I would expect that even if it was too light, that it would still cover redness, you know, and lighter scarring. Like I don't have rosacea. My skin's pretty general, it just has a bit of redness to it, so that was quite disappointing. I also didn't find that the longevity was that good. It wasn't that bad, but it also wasn't that good. Overall, if this wasn't such a nice light warm toned shade, I would have no problems giving this to somebody else because I would have no use for it whatsoever. And unfortunately, it's not really something that I would recommend because I didn't feel like the formula was up to scratch. However, if you are lighter than NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, I would definitely check out the shade Pale because it's one of the only shades that I found that is still really light and still really yellow toned. So not just like golden or like orangey undertoned, but actually yellow. So definitely check it out if you are close to NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, but that is a little bit too dark for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!